The Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM, emerged as one of the most revolutionary military technologies in the mid-20th century, fundamentally reshaping global strategic thinking during the early Cold War period. Its origins can be traced back to the aftermath of World War II, when the devastating potential of rocket technology became painfully evident. The German V-2 rocket, developed under the leadership of Wernher von Braun, demonstrated that long-range, guided missiles were not only feasible, but also capable of delivering massive destruction. In the chaotic post-war years, both the United States and the Soviet Union seized German scientists, engineers, and technical documentation, recognizing that these experts could accelerate the development of advanced missile systems. By the early 1950s, both superpowers had begun serious research into what would become the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, aiming to create a weapon capable of striking targets thousands of kilometers away with unprecedented speed and lethality. Unlike traditional artillery or shorter-range rockets, ICBMs were designed for intercontinental reach, meaning they could launch from one continent and strike another, fundamentally altering the nature of military power and deterrence. The technological characteristics of early ICBMs reflected both the promise and the challenges of this new era of warfare. Early models, such as the United States Atlas and Titan missiles and the Soviet R-7, relied on powerful liquid-fueled rocket engines that could propel the missile into the upper atmosphere at tremendous velocities. These rockets followed a ballistic trajectory, ascending into space before re-entering the atmosphere to deliver their nuclear payloads. The payloads themselves were typically nuclear warheads, capable of inflicting destruction on a scale far beyond conventional explosives. While the accuracy of 1950s ICBMs was limited compared to later generations, the sheer destructive power of their nuclear payloads compensated for targeting imprecision. Launch procedures were initially complex. Liquid-fueled rockets required careful fueling and handling, making them vulnerable to sabotage or surprise attack. Nevertheless, even in their early forms, ICBMs provided a credible means of delivering nuclear retaliation across continents, a capability that would become central to the doctrine of deterrence. The strategic use of ICBMs quickly became a cornerstone of Cold War military planning. Unlike bomber aircraft, which could be intercepted or shot down, ICBMs could reach their targets at high speeds and altitudes, minimizing the window for defensive measures. This made them particularly suited to the concept of second strike capability, ensuring that even if a nation suffered a surprise nuclear attack, it could respond with devastating force. The presence of ICBMs fundamentally shifted the balance of power, as both the United States and the Soviet Union now had the means to inflict unacceptable damage on each other in retaliation for any nuclear strike, creating a tense but stable form of mutual deterrence. The introduction of these weapons also triggered an arms race, as both sides rushed to develop more accurate, faster, and harder-to-destroy missiles, along with the development of missile silos, underground bunkers, and eventually mobile launch systems to increase survivability. Beyond their military applications, ICBMs had a profound psychological and political impact. They symbolized technological supremacy and national strength, becoming key instruments in the projection of power on the global stage. The successful launch of the Soviet R-7 in 1957, for instance, not only demonstrated the USSR's ICBM capabilities, but also paved the way for the launch of Sputnik, marking the beginning of the space race. The mere existence of ICBMs created a climate of constant tension, as leaders and citizens alike lived under the shadow of potential nuclear annihilation. The doctrine of deterrence, which depended on the credible threat of total retaliation, shaped foreign policy, military planning, and even popular culture for decades.
In many ways, the ICBM transformed the Cold War from a conventional struggle into a high-stakes contest of technological and strategic supremacy, where victory was defined not by battlefield conquests, but by the ability to threaten mutual destruction. In conclusion, the development of the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile in the 1950s represented a revolutionary leap in military technology, combining advanced rocketry with nuclear weaponry to create a weapon of unprecedented destructive potential. Its emergence was fueled by the post-war appropriation of German rocket expertise, intense research by the United States and the Soviet Union, and the strategic imperative of establishing a credible deterrent during the Cold War. Early ICBMs were characterized by long-range capabilities, ballistic trajectories, nuclear payloads, and complex launch requirements. Yet they fundamentally changed the nature of military strategy. They enabled second strike capabilities, accelerated the arms race, and transformed the geopolitical landscape, instilling both fear and respect on a global scale. The ICBM was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of the Cold War itself, embodying the technological rivalry, strategic brinksmanship, and psychological tension that defined one of the most precarious periods in modern history.